Hey guys, if you haven't had a chance to go to heroparanormal.com, please do. For the price of a boutique cup of coffee a month, you get to access all the content behind the paywall, and there's a ton of it. Also, please like, share, and subscribe to Hero Paranormal on YouTube. Hey guys, how you doing today? Ryan Burns here, the anomalous ambassador of the airwaves. I'm just doing a quick video log of some new information that's come to light regarding the quote-unquote alien invasion in Peru. There are some interesting tidbits of information that I feel are important to share. Everybody has been jumping on this recently. It's getting into the bigger podcasts, the more mainstream podcasts. As usual, we hit it a while ago. But I will say this, I do have people that are boots on the ground, so to speak, Peruvians, native to the area, with information. And it's pretty amazing information. Let's go into the situation with a larger podcast delving into this. I know that Stephen Greer has chimed into this information. If you're unfamiliar with what's taking place, the last 2 weeks, more or less, there have been a barrage of encounters and experiences, as well as attacks and assaults among villagers in a tribe in the Alto Nanay. That's northeast of Lima, Peru. And this is with the Iquitos tribe. They have basically encountered, and this happens cyclically from time to time, but in this instance, they have had a barrage of activity, encounters, and attacks. One including a 15-year-old girl who was nearly abducted. However, she did get away, however, not unscathed. She had multiple lacerations on her throat and was injured. Where this becomes very interesting to me is that a lot of people are coming in and, saying this is a Project Bluebeam thing. This is more than likely the military trying to show force. And this is a remote location where they could do so without too much of a risk of being hurt. It's a good test run, let's put it that way. If you were going to test extremely exotic technologies used to scare people, this would be a good place to do it. That being said, I am going to have to disagree with the belief that it's full Project Bluebeam. As I said, I know Stephen Greer has chimed in on this. Many regard him highly, including myself. He's done a lot for ufology and his CE5 protocols, although similar things were in place before, have definitely streamlined and mainstreamed certain ways to contact and interact with non-human intelligences. So that being said, respect given. I respect Mr. Greer. Unfortunately, I respectfully disagree with his belief that all non-human intelligence is beneficial to humanity. I disagree that all non-human intelligence is, nice and cuddly, and they are just here to help us. Disagree 100%. I've just been around this too long my entire life. I've been in areas of high strangeness for much of my adult life. And ever since the late 90s, I've had encounters and experiences with entities in the Uinta Basin of Utah, especially around the Sherman Ranch. If you're familiar with that, I own a property called Space Wolf Research, which is adjacent to the ranch and shares a fence line. And in my experience, it's impossible to justify everything as being benevolent. There have been too many instances, and I've just seen too many things come across my desk, not to mention my personal experiences and encounters, to justify that all non-human intelligence is benevolent in nature. You do have some positive things that come out of it, but to claim it is all unicorns and rainbows is way out of my wheelhouse. I will not follow that train of thought or jump on that bandwagon ever. I believe that, as with most things in life, there is a positive and negative involved. and you can't have one without the other. I think there is no difference with the interactions and encounters that take place with non-human intelligences. That being said, the information coming out of Peru is shocking. These are, if you have not heard or didn't go over the part 1 that I had of aliens invading Peru, I highly recommend listening to that podcast. It's not video, it's audio only, but it's jam-packed with a ton of information. Basically, we have this tribe in this area northeast of Lima, Peru, in the Alto Nanay, the Iquitos tribe, are encountering these beings that they claim look like the green goblin from Spider-Man. They claim that they typically hover about a meter off the ground, which puts them in a very universally apex predator position to attack and assault the tribal members. They can also elevate themselves higher than that if needed. They also have other exotic technologies, including chrome or silver suits, which tend to protect them from bullets, spears, knives, you name it. Typical hunting implements have no effect on these entities. They also seemingly are wearing masks of some sort, according to many in the tribe, and they have capabilities that far outweigh those of the usual population in the area. So there have been theories coming out from the people I've spoken with, the Peruvians that are native, and they have claimed that there are other possibilities. Originally I thought maybe, there could be a human aspect behind all this. There is illegal mining, illegal lumberjacks in the area. There is drug trading in the area. A lot of illegal activities and people who are not the most savory of individuals. However, the pockets would have to be deep to employ this sort of exotic technology in the way it's being employed. The only ones that I could see doing this are the governments themselves or the corporate mining interests that are interested in the area. And far be it from me to point fingers, name names of these corporations. I'm not looking for enemies. However, there is the reality of tailings of uranium being in the river systems, etc. From most of it is illegal mining. So although this is a possibility, I want to bring up some things that I know to be true, which is that this has been occurring for some time in a cyclical way in these areas. The rumor, the myth, the legend of the Pela Caras, the face peelers, has been around for a long time. Okay, so now the bad news. Some 87 U.S. Marines were deployed for a joint bilateral jungle operations exchange with the local Navy at the Iquitos base. That was reported from Lima. Now, the presence of the foreign troops armed with rifles, pistols, grenade launchers, silencers, and state-of-the-art night vision devices was authorized by the Peruvian Congress. And this is coming from Merco Press. This was back on June 26, 2023. So unfortunately, the United States does have a presence in the area prior to these strange goings-on. Of course, they claim the project does not affect in any way the sovereignty or territorial integrity, nor does it involve the installation of a foreign base, the document read. They claimed that it was different training cooperation activities with armed forces associated with the International Military Exercise Resolute Sentinel 2023 to be carried out. In this scenario, members of the U.S. Special Forces, the U.S. Air Force, and the U.S. Space Force began to enter the country. So, that's the bad news. Maybe there is an element of Project Bluebeam, but it's important we keep our minds open. As I said, I know that things have taken place in this area since the 1960s that I'm personally familiar with stories from my father. But probably it's happened hundreds of years. Unfortunately, as the case might be, NATO sent a bunch of special forces, Space Force, and Air Force, military, you name it, to the area prior to all of this taking place. I have no proof that they left the area. Still looking into that, and I will find out more soon. Anyway, so this is nothing new to the area. This stuff has happened a long time. There is a wide variety of high strangeness that takes place deep in these jungles. Everything from cryptozoological variants to extraterrestrial-like behavior, non-human intelligences interacting with the people, and of course the Pela Caras, the face peelers as they call them. So witchcraft is also prevalent in these areas, and not to mention headhunting. Some of the tribes have been known for that further up north along some of the river systems. So this is an area of high strangeness, which in my opinion, would be naive to believe that this can 100% be attributed to Project Bluebeam. I love the idea of Project Bluebeam. It is 100% a real thing. It is a great way to usher the New World Order in, and we have legitimate history corresponding to the program, namely Werner von Braun and his deathbed confessions asserting that the last playing card in the plan to have an enemy of cosmic origin would be to implement this fake, false, fraudulent alien invasion. All of this I am 100% on board with. However, in this particular case, I do not believe that's what we're dealing with. As I said, these tribes have a history. The people of Peru have a history of interacting with these things. I know my father went down in the 1960s with mission work. He opened up the region of Lima, Peru, this entire area. And this was back in the 1960s. He was in there, in the deep jungle, talking to people, getting stories, hearing encounters, etc. So I know that this has been going on at least since then, and that I'm aware Project Bluebeam was not in full swing back then. So this is something to take into consideration. In addition, I think being around high strangeness a large portion of my adult life, it is naive to always blame the government or those in power for things you may witness. But yet, this is exactly what it seems the mainstream narrative is already starting to do. As I witness larger and larger podcasts reporting on this, they are taking the accounts of the villagers less and less into consideration and injecting their own beliefs and calling in experts to chime in on what's going on. Experts like Stephen Greer. Now, it's great to be an expert like Stephen Greer and be able to sell tickets to campfire CE5 events that are in controlled situations. However, in my opinion, he has probably not been deep in the jungles of Central and South America. So this is something that I believe I may be more familiar with than him. And he probably has not spent as much time in areas of high strangeness as myself and others. That being said, he may have a watered down and very controlled and limited experience with non-human intelligence. If you sit around the campfire and sing Kumbaya all night, yeah, you may have a nice and positive experience. However, when you're in areas of high strangeness, namely the most scientifically studied paranormal hotspot on the planet, and you don't just make camp there, you buy property, you stay there, and you research it, then you get an inkling of the reality that everything is not benevolent. There are malevolent aspects to non-human intelligence. Not to mention the fact that historically mankind has always had experiences with entities that are darker in nature than we were expecting. So I think that to perfectly explain everything under the CE5 Kumbaya benevolent alien umbrella is naive. Again, I respect Stephen Greer very much. He's done amazing things for ufology. But in this particular case, I am going to go with the theories of people in Peru, Peruvians who are native to the country and know what they're talking about. And what I'm getting is the possibility. There's theories that they are not stupid people, and they are coming up with their own theories. There are allegations of course, corporate interests involved and willing to go into these areas to mine for certain minerals, namely gold, uranium, the list goes on and on. It's a very rich area as far as natural resources. So these corporate interests would have the deep pockets to pull off something utilizing mercenaries and exotic technology. This is not the first time we've heard about something like this. Mercenaries and exotic technology have been talked about, thanks to Stephen Greer, actually, with the whistleblower testimony of Michael Herrera, who very well depicted a situation where he encountered people, mercenaries in black with all the best gear, the best technologies, American accents, in possession of an unidentified aerial craft. It appeared to be reverse engineered, and he believed that this was involved in the trafficking of human organs or possibly humans themselves. Interestingly, the theories coming out of this particular area, this zone, and out of Peru, the Peruvians I've been talking to, have said that yes, these Pela Caras have a history of literally being in the organ business. They will leave bodies without organs. And interestingly enough, that also lends some credence to the possibility that military tied contractors of a mercenary type nature, not an official capacity, but more of the mercenary style military individuals, may be involved in trafficking human organs. And these would fall into line with the whistleblower testimony of Michael Herrera and the use of reverse engineered exotic technologies. So this would fall into line, in my opinion. I don't know that that's what's happening 100%, but I think it's also super naive to make a distinct choice into what is taking place and run with the ball, because it's just too early on and there's just too long a history in this area to make any fast and loose judgment calls. They have encountered high strangeness in this area for decades that I'm aware of, probably centuries. And it's very naive, in my opinion, to pick a team and run with it. So keep that in mind. We'll probably be doing a part 2 and a part 3. I know for a fact the Navy is involved, the military is involved at this point. There were also nearby sightings from the same tribe in another village nearby. And so this is spreading. This is actually taking place more than people originally thought. And I'm not going to drop the ball. I will keep reporting on it as the calls come in, as the information comes in. I will relay it to you. Thanks for listening. Till next time, keep your eyes to the skies, feet on the ground, but don't forget to take a look around. Hey guys, if you haven't had a chance to go to heroparanormal.com, please do. For the price of a boutique cup of coffee a month, you get to access all the content behind the paywall, and there's a ton of it. Also, please like, share, and subscribe to Hero Paranormal on YouTube.